Thank you for joining GTM Secrets. I'm really excited. We have an awesome guest here. GTM Secrets, as you know, is all about go-to-market strategy, whether it's tech, marketing, sales, doesn't really matter. And today we have someone exciting. We call him the Outbound Chef. Go ahead, Elric, if you could take a second and introduce yourself briefly.
Thank you. First, thank you for the invite, and thanks everyone for listening. So I'm Elric, and like you say, Outbound Chef. Basically, I've been working in the SaaS industry for the past 6 years, and Outbound 100%, and I've hired and led 30 plus SDRs and interviewed more than 300 candidates. So.
Now, we were talking, for those of you that don't know Elric, you specifically specialize in B2B tech. It sounds like B2B SaaS, and primarily relatively early stage companies that are trying to build their BDR/SDR outbound motion, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
So I'm curious, first and foremost, You're from France, you're living in Mexico City. A lot of Europeans that I work with and talk to aren't a fan of outbound to begin with. So how the hell did you get into outbound sales, my friend?
That was in my first job, actually. I was doing marketing for a B2B tech company, providing IT services for large enterprise accounts in Mexico. And they hired me to create the marketing strategy and process just after getting my master degree. So it was tough, I would say, because it was a really small company and they didn't have any budget. So I started to research online what I could do, any strategies or that other companies at this stage was currently using. And I ended reading Predictable Revenue by Aaron Ross, and the book was talking about outbound. And I say, you know what, I'm going to try outbound because you don't need any budget and you just need like LinkedIn, contact data tool to find phone number, email address. And that's how I started actually. And it was funny because I never did cold call or send emails before that, and that's how I started.
Now, I come from an outbound background as well. When I was 16, I was selling acquisition consulting services when I could barely spell it to Fortune 500 execs, didn't know what the hell I was doing. It's changed a lot in the last decade. Mm-hmm. And I actually saw a post just the other day saying the predictable revenue model is dead and cold call is dead and email is just bullshit at this point. So talk to me about, first of all, how long have you been in outbound sales now?
6 years so far.
So what have you seen change in the last 6 years?
Efficiency of outbound is dropping for a lot of different reasons, but yeah, the main one is efficiency because of all the tools you have on the market now, and now you have AI also. The main reason is more people are doing the spray and pray model to go after to prospect, and basically you have more and more noise. So prospects they still reply to emails, they still reply to on LinkedIn or on call calls, but if you compare today and 6 years ago, it's not the same anymore. So it's now you need more activities and the quality should be improved. So it's not the one without the other.
Now, when you say outbound, are you primarily referring to email, to cold calling, to LinkedIn, to all the above?
All of them. Yeah, all the above. Yeah, it's not just one or the other, but if you think about just everything that Google or the telecom carrier, for example, they are building to avoid spam, it's super easy enough for prospect to mark you as spam. So once you get marked as spam, it's another challenge.
Yep. Whip up a new domain and start all over.
That's exactly that.
So when you do outbound for a B2B tech company, how do you structure, let's get a little tactical here. How do you structure your segmentation and list building? Is it based on accounts, so ABM? Is it based on persona?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
So it's account first and then persona. Always account because if you think about building your ICP, so ideal customer profile, I always think first about the industry because you can have two persona. There are, let's say, a CMO, for example, in the retail industry versus the SaaS industry. Yes, they are both CMOs, but they have different challenges. So I'm not going to talk to a CMO the same way as a CMO for a SaaS industry, for example. for a lot of different reasons. But that's why I always start with the account level because each industry, they have their own specific challenges. And then if you that will be step one for that. And then we can talk about buyer personas and thinking about it's not just one buyer persona. Most of the time, it's I'm trying to think about you have your main buyer persona and how your solution will help solve the problems of this person, but also the impact on the rest of the company, the impact for the team of this person, but also what's at the C-level, what's the impact of this. Because if I'm contacting the CEO of this company, I'm not going to talk about the same way as I'm talking to the CMO, for example.
Yeah, of course. Now,
yep.
Is there a specific way that you structure your outbound email? So, for example, I've always tried to frame it as hook value, ask, right? So what's the hook? How are you going to provide value? And then what are you asking for? Is it a demo, a free trial, whatever? Is there a specific structure that you use that other people aren't? Because let's face it, the vast majority of BDRs really suck these days.
Don't say that.
I'm a little...
But it's true. No, it's true. It's not just BDRs, but more, a lot of reps. I would say 99% of people doing outbound, they suck at it for a lot of different reasons. But reason number one, it's the targeting. Most of the time, it's not relevant. It's you get an email, you don't know why you get this email. And then you can go on the structure or the way, if it's relevant to you or not, depending on your changes. But the way I'm structuring my emails is something I observe about them. So obviously, it's easier when, for example, it's because I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. So I've prospected to a lot of different buyer personas. So marketing leaders, sales leaders, data leaders. And when I say data leaders, I mean the people in charge of the data warehouse of the company, technical talent acquisition team, HR team. So you have teams who are more visible online. So it's pretty easy to use something you find about them online. But for example, HR or talent acquisition, you can know which ATS they are currently using, if they use Workday or something like that. So then you can see their process online. But the data team, how do you know which data warehouse they are currently using, BI tools they are using? You don't know what's their process internally because they don't share anything online. And so it's not obviously, if the team is easy to find online, it's so much easier to buy a message. But I'm always starting with this first, something I found about them.
So are you doing every message manually? Are you automating it with, like, Apollo now has AI personalizers? You have Clay that everyone and their brother's using. How do you do that at scale?
I'm doing it at the account level because if you go back to the way I'm focusing on the account, so always start on the account. That's the way I'm doing it. So it's not like something I'm doing at scale. I can do it like in 30 minutes. I can do 100 accounts. Most of the time, it's not for my business. I'm not doing that at the same level. But for example, for data teams, I was going after accounts with more than 1,000 employees, 10,000 employees. So I need to find some information relevant to them. And what I was doing, I found one interview of, I don't know, the VP of data, for example, and then I was using this interview to reach out to the account because I knew 6 months ago, this VP of data talked about this specific challenge during this interview. They talk about this initiative they were currently working on. And then I can use that to reach out to their team, for example. And same if we talk about HR team, for example, or talent acquisition, if I find an issue, a problem, a challenge I have online, I can leverage that at the account level. Not because I think doing it for each person, it's one, it's a waste of time, and two, most of the time, it's 90% of the time, the people you are going after, that you won't find anything about them online. When I say online, yes, you could maybe find something on Instagram or something like that about them, but for prospecting, I never go to Instagram or something like that. I just stay to LinkedIn, and that's it.
At that point, it's creepy.
Exactly. That's creepy. And that's why I'm saying 90% of the time, you won't find anything about them.
Okay. So the very old stat, but I think it still rings true. Salesforce says it takes 5 to 12 points of contact to actually get a meeting with somebody. So what do your sequences look like? How many points of contact? How many emails are you sending before you call? How do you structure it?
So it's 15 steps during a month, actually. So it's 5 emails. So 3 threads, 2 follow-up emails. and 5 calls and 5 steps on LinkedIn. Pretty it.
Now, if you're not connected with them on LinkedIn, what are those steps? Is it typical like a post and view their profile, that sort of a deal?
Yeah, that's the way I would start. But on LinkedIn, most of the time, the way I use it is to reference the email I've sent to them. So it's I'm not trying to have like a different approach on LinkedIn, saying that having a separate conversation, because the way I'm doing it, if we talk about I'm researching the account and spending time on them, I want to make sure they see the email at least when I call them or send them a message on LinkedIn. So my goal is to always point them to the emails I'm sending.
Now, what are your favorite scraping tools, sequencing tools, etc.?
Yeah, sequencing tool, I don't have one anymore. But the one I'm excited about right now, it's Clay, actually. I don't think it's new anymore, but I've been trying it for the past 6 months. But the way I'm using it, it's not just for... Because I know some people, they use it to scale their outreach, but the way I'm using it, it's to qualify my accounts. Because right now I'm working with a customer and we need at least 5 or 7 users at the account. And so if you're on LinkedIn, it's pretty not difficult, but it takes you time to know how many, for example, customer success managers they have at the account. So with Clay, what I'm using is I use the company name or the LinkedIn page, and directly Clay is going to give me the list, how many CSMs they have at the account. So for me, it's quicker. So that's the one I'm using the most right now, and the one I'm the most excited about.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I've played with Clay. I don't use it religiously like a lot of people right now, but Clay doesn't do the actual outbound. You have to send it to Apollo or Outreach or one of those.
Yeah. It's more like your spreadsheet where you can connect a lot of things. But then, Clay can't do it. But right now, it's if you ask me this question like 3 or 4 years ago, I would say sales love. But now I don't have like a preference.
Having you worked for Ample Market, I'm surprised you're not preaching them.
I'm not working for them. I'm an advisor, which is different.
Got it. Very, very fair. I used Ample Market when it first came out. Data was iffy. They may have come a long way. That was probably 5 years ago at this point, but it's an interesting tool. Identity Matrix, we use Apollo for almost everything. We use our own data, right? We're a data provider, but we use them for the sequencing and whatnot. Now, let's talk about something else completely now. You're a fractional head of business development or outbound function, right? You work primarily with early stage tech companies.
Yep.
When do you think it makes sense to hire the first BDR, SDR? And when do you think it makes sense to hire that first manager, whether fractional or not?
Okay. First hire, it depends obviously on the budget, because if it's a bootstrap company or a VC back company, the answer will be different. But the first step is to have the founder do outbound for quite some time. Have the answer, I would say, because right now, for example, the company I'm working with, they only have like 3 employees and we're already doing outbound with them. So reps, it's fine, but they really believe in outbound, so that's why we are already doing it. Because some companies, maybe they prefer to focus on marketing first, so they're not going to try to focus on having a BDR. A manager, same here, it will depend, because I think it's not like right or wrong, but if you have the budget, for example, instead of hiring founding rep, you could hire like a manager, will be your first hire, and then we'll build the team. But the salary won't be the same. So that's why I'm saying the budget will be the answer. If you hire like an SDR as your first time employee for your team, maybe it's going to cost you 70, 80K OT, but hiring a manager is going to cost you maybe 120, 130K. So it's not the same, but you have the experience that you won't have with the rep. So,
yeah, well, one of the issues that I have with a lot of the tech companies that I've consulted for and whatnot is they believe that they need to hire a veteran sales leader before they even have salespeople.
Yep.
And the problem they run into is they'll find a hotshot sales leader that no longer is willing to get their hands dirty and be scrapped and so forth. I would suggest start with founder-led sales every time and then move into a BDR at appointments and then scale from there.
Yeah, or you can hire a manager that can do it, but yeah, it's a tough one because with another customer, we found one, but it was tough. It took like 3 or 4 months to find someone. It was not like, oh yeah, in 2 weeks we found the right person. So it's, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, what are the biggest mistakes that you see companies making when they're hiring a BDR?
Early stage, for example, I know a few companies that actually hired junior BDRs to go do enterprise outreach, for example, and didn't work. So that's really a common mistake because early stage, the problem you have with early stage, and I'm saying, yeah, you shouldn't work for an early stage company. I'm just saying an early stage company, specifically on the sales team, you don't have onboarding process, you don't have any training, you don't have any enablement at the company. So as a founders, they think, oh yeah, I'm going to hire like this fresh college graduate person to do outbound for me. This person is going to figure out my outbound strategy. Oh, actually, we do enterprise prospecting. Okay, yeah, go after Ford, for example, as your top account. It doesn't work because for a lot of reasons, but the main one is enablement because this person doesn't know. Maybe they know how to call, but it's not just the only thing to focus on. And the founders, they don't have time to train or coach this person. So that's why early stage is tricky because you want people already with some experience. If we talk about soft skills, I think the soft skills should be the same, experience and no experience, but early stage, you should have like hire people with experience because hiring people without experience at this stage is going to take you forever just to start getting results.
Yep. I fully agree. What are the best ways that people can connect with you if they want to learn more about Outbound and fractional head of sales and so on and so forth?
Yeah, LinkedIn, that's where you can find me. So Elric Legloire, we can insert the link of my profile. That will be the best way to talk with me.
Awesome. Well, Elric, really appreciate you jumping on here. Really appreciate the insights. And I think a lot of people will find a lot of value as they try to figure out some Outbound.
Yep. Thanks you for inviting. Thanks everyone for listening to this episode.
Absolutely.